To take a look at the development between Dangote and the regulatory authority, we're joined now by Temitope Kolade, Senior Manager and Lead, ESG and Climate Change Services at Andersen. It's good to have you on the news again. Thanks for giving us your time. What, in your view, are the potential challenges to a successful resolution between Dangote and the authority, considering the allegations of a blocking cabal and the disagreement over the refinery's licensing and product quality?
Thanks, Felicity, for having me. Apparently, this is really about interest, and I say that with clarity because we understand that there are political interests involved in this. There are also economic interests involved, and those stand very those are very huge factors to helping to resolve the matters on ground. There are vested interests. For instance, people who have typically controlled a number of years and they've been earning so well from the subsidy regime. We know that that subsidy regime has not come to an end. So it's difficult to give in when you see that some people want to share in the market and they will more or less not allow the subsidy regime to continue. So they won't be able to benefit from that again. There is also the issues around licensing for Dangote in itself, and that could be tied to issues around government and even bureaucratic obstacles, for instance, as to how he's able to get the right documentations and licensing to ensure that products are manufactured not just at the pilot level, but at a mass scale. There are issues around pricing as well that have to be dealt with decisively. Apparently, you know that there is just one company that is responsible as a single importer of petroleum products in Nigeria today. So these issues are major issues to deal with in resolving that conflict of interest on ground.
Government's intervention. I mean, they're playing a huge role already because the regulatory authorities are under the purview of the government. How do you think the intervention will ensure a balanced outcome? Is that possible in this instance, considering that there are interested parties?
Yeah, because there is also the national interest, and it's important that the regulators look at that aspect of things. There is the aspect of perception and public trust that would have a very huge burden on the people who are representing the government, whether they are regulators or whether they are players and operators at this point in time. So I expect that there will still be a win-win at the end of the day because expectedly, regardless of what they might have as their individual interest, the national interest should trump all of the issues that will be discussed, and the fact that the public also has a role to play in what the public expects, and what the public expects should be in the interest of the country at large, which is basically giving the country, the entire populace, some sort of soft landing in getting these items these products are the best price, and that would mean that we should be able to produce locally and maybe buy these things locally rather than always continue to import the crude and import the petroleum product in itself. Whereas we have the raw items in Nigeria, and we now have a refinery in Nigeria that could give us some landing, at least some balance within the market.
There's been recent arguments about the quality of the Dangote refinery's output. How will getting oil from different sources affect the quality of their fuel? And are there any special things to consider for using Libyan or Angolan crude in this contest?
Not necessarily. Most of the crude are graded originally. So there is a grade to everything that is being purchased. And what I would expect the regulators to be doing is to say, when you're importing the crude, we also want to check the quality of crude that you import, for instance. Aside from that, the machines, the equipment at the Dangote Refinery, for instance, also have their work to, they have the work they've been designed to do, and is to separate impurities from all of these things. That's the purification process. Those who are chemical engineers would speak to us, maybe clearer on that to let us know that this would go through a lot of processes in terms of giving us the best of standards. So except we are saying that the equipment that are there will not serve the purpose, I would struggle to understand why we will not get the best out of those items. Maybe there is more work to do. Maybe there is a tweak in those machines to ensure that they give us the best, but it's not impossible. The fact that those things are operating within Nigeria doesn't mean that we can't get the best quality. The fact that we're importing the crude doesn't even mean that we can't get the best of crude to be refined in themselves.
Something else, the NNPC supposedly will not buy fuel from Dangote, which suggests they might be worried about competition or Dangote having too much control of the market. How could this back and forth between the companies hurt Dangote's business and Nigeria's plans for its energy sector?
Essentially, what is required is that the NNPCL must see itself as separate from NMDPRA as well as NUPRC. While they represent the government, we have the Petroleum Industry Act that has basically assigned roles for each of the parties. And so in terms of regulation, the NNPCL at the best is an investment arm of the country in itself in the petroleum sector of Nigeria. So the regulators that we have on record today is the NNDPRA as well as the NUPRC. So if they play their roles the way they should play their roles, we're going to have the right sort of output in the sense that they should be able to do their work independently, and they should be able to regulate the NNPCL in itself as well as whoever is coming into the industry. Interestingly, it's not just Dangote that refines in Nigeria. There are other companies that are already having their modular refineries, and we expect several others to be there. So the responsibility on NMDPRA is to ensure that they get the best quality in terms of monitoring, quality assurance processes that would go through them in terms of licensing and all of that. So there is a lot for the regulators to do, and that's to say that the NNDPRA has its work cut out for it to ensure that we get the best quality, and it shouldn't really be an issue that NNPCL still has to bring products from outside of Nigeria. If it has to do that, it has to do it from a market point of view. And so the forces of demand and supply should actually even out whatever the imbalance may be between whether we're having those products locally or we're importing them from outside of Nigeria.
Temitope, as always, thank you for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me.